very early in the morning, beginning to rough chop. Today's a very exciting day. I have some of my favorite people coming over for a taco party. So I figured it was time for me to share my legendary pork tacos a la pastor recipe with you. Now, this takes about 4 to 5 hours in the oven, so that's why I'm up at the crack of dawn to get this started. But you don't have to get up that early in the morning just to watch. We're having lunch at 1, so you can do this in the afternoon. But let's get started. We got a lot to do today. I'm going to start by putting in my lovely heavy bottomed saucepan a little bit of bacon fat. I know, that sounds crazy. Rough chop, we generally like to promote healthier foods, but let me tell you, in Mexico, if you told them you were going to make tacos with some sort of light corn oil, they would laugh at you. If you don't have any bacon fat kicking around, or you don't save your bacon fat, which is pretty easy to do when you cook your bacon, pour out your pan through a strainer and keep it on the counter. It'll last for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it really adds flavor in very small amounts. So I put about a teaspoon in there. Now I'm going to wait till this pot is sizzling hot. As you can see, the smoke is rising, so we're ready to go. And what I have here is pork blade shoulder steak. This is the absolute least expensive cut of pork, but it's going to make the absolute most delicious tacos. So get ready. Here comes the sizzle. Can you hear that? This takes a very short time. Now, as we always do, we're going to season on every level. I haven't had any coffee yet. So we've got some salt and pepper in there, and that'll take about 1 minute before it starts to brown. I am cooking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people today. So I've done a whole platter of these to get ready to go. But I figured you probably didn't want to stand here and watch me do that. Just like that. Well, not quite. You can kind of tell when it's almost done because the sizzling will start to slow down in sound. Let's just take a minute. Get our morning started with a little sizzle. Sizzle! Alright, that's gonna do it. Look at that. Beautiful. In the other side. Yeah. Little pinch of salt. This is our fancy pepper grinder. It even lights up at night, so if you feel like late night snacking, you're set. Sizzle. Sizzle. It couldn't be easier. Let me tell you, the results are amazing. This is a very versatile feast. You could do this just as easily with beef or chicken. And for those vegans and vegetarians out there, this works great with a gigantic pot of mushrooms. All right, I'm going to turn my heat off here because we don't need that anymore. And now we're going to take 1 onion. It's so easy. We're going to take the onion and we're going to slice it in half. And this is just for flavor and a little bit of color. So we don't need to do anything else. We'll put that right in the pot there. Now we're going to take our tongs. Actually, that's not right at all. What am I doing? I forgot to put the meat back in. So we're going to take our blade steaks here. Place them back in the pan. Just cover the whole bottom of the pan, and it's okay to layer them. We're going to be doing a braise, which is a very slow, low cook that allows meats that are a little bit of a tougher cut like this one really the chance to tenderize. All of the fat is going to really melt down, and this is going to be amazing. Now we put our onions in. Now we're going to take a whole head of garlic, and again, anyone that can't eat onions or garlic, this is an amazing recipe without. This just adds that little extra. Interesting fact, they use very little garlic in Mexican food, so this is a little bit controversial. Just cut that clove in half so it looks like a UFO. Boom, in she goes. And now for the spices. Check out my adorable measuring spoons. They have mermaids on them. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is add 1 more teaspoon of salt. I always like to use sea salt because it has no iodine and it's not quite as salty. Also, it's important because it helps tenderize the meat. Now in this recipe, we're also going to use 1 chicken bouillon cube, which we're gonna break up all over the top there. Another couple of shots of pepper. Now we need some sriracha. You can also use a Mexican hot sauce like I can never remember, Chapatito. Anyhow, whatever hot sauce you have, just 1 good squirt. I usually put 2 or 3 in here, but we have kids coming today and they probably don't like food that spicy. We're gonna hit it with 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds. If you have powdered cumin, half a teaspoon. Let's just let it rain all over there. Woo-hoo. We're gonna put 1 bay leaf in there. Now, if you want to make them just like mine, you're gonna need to go down to a quite popular little spice joint on White Avenue here in Edmonton, which if you want a private message me, I'll tell you what that is, but most of you Edmontonians know what that is. And they have a straight up Mexican box set that you can buy. And that's super handy because then you always have the spices and it's affordable. If you do not have all of these spices at home, that's fine. Literally an Old El Paso seasoning mix will be delicious in here. Anything you have in your cupboard that looks like it belongs in a Mexican dish is fine. Regular chili powder, a little smoked paprika, that sort of thing. But for the optimum tacos, you need the following. We have a bit of cinnamon. I know that sounds crazy. Mexican food incorporates a lot of sweets like chocolate and cinnamon and nutmeg, believe it or not. Kind of cuts the spice. I'm going to sprinkle that over. Now we're going to use 3 teaspoons of chili powder. I would use a tablespoon, but unfortunately I don't think my tablespoon fits in here. Chili powder is the most important for sure, and then cumin. And I mean, you really can't get this wrong. If you put a little too much, it's gonna be mellowing out in the oven for hours. Don't even sweat it. Now I have beautiful bright red ancho chilies here. These can get a little bit hot, so we're just gonna go with 1 big heaping. And then for a little zazz and color, we are going to put in some chipotle powder. If you do not like your food spicy, do not put in the chipotle powder. It's not super hot. Like, you're not gonna burn your face off with any of these peppers. If you want to, ask your favorite spice vendor for some hotter peppers. Now, normally you want to add a little bit of sugar into this to balance it out, but we're making El Pastor, and the star of that show is pineapple. I'm going to take 2 pieces out right now to put in my mouth, and then I have about half of a whole pineapple. You can definitely use canned pineapple and the juice, or I'd say maybe 1.25 cups of pineapple. We're going to throw it in there. Now that is going to add the sweetness that we need as well. Pineapple has an enzyme in it that's an excellent meat tenderizer. Just kind of even that out a little bit. We're going to take nice water, and just pour until the pork is covered. Now, I'm gonna pop that in the oven. It's gonna be in the oven at 225 degrees. It'll probably be good to eat at 4, but if you have 6 hours, leave it in there as long as possible. And then I'll show you what to do with all the rest. Coming up soon. Welcome back. I managed to get a little more sleep and get myself cleaned up and ready for my super exciting tacos El Pastor party we are having today. Now, the meat is still in the oven braising away, and at this point in time, we're going to be serving in about an hour. So I did turn the heat up to 300 just to really make sure that the flavors get in there and the braising does its job. But of course, we can't have a taco party unless we have our amazing, amazing accoutrement to go along with it. So let's get those ready. Today for El Pastor, am gonna go with the flour tortilla. Usually when I make tacos, I like a corn tortilla, but the Pastor seems to hold up better with a little bit less crumbly of a situation than a corn tortilla. So we've got 20 flour tortillas here. Hopefully that's enough for 7 hungry people who are very excited. Now we're gonna make ourselves a nice little crop here, and then we're gonna flip it over to make sure that the shiny side is on the inside. Now the reason we do that is because shiny is reflective and it reflects heat away. We just want these to get nice and warm and yummy. We definitely don't want them crispy or crunchy. Put them in there, fold them over like a little present. Chop, chop. And those bad boys are ready to go in the oven. We'll put those in about 20 minutes before we're ready to eat. So we'll just set them aside for now. You would not believe how many times I've been ready to serve and realized that I forgot to wrap my tortillas. That happened to me at North Country Fair once when we were serving tacos to about 400 people. And 10 minutes before dinner, one of my lovely volunteers reminded me that we hadn't heated up the tortillas yet. So we had a little bit of a rush, but we got it handled like we always did. Now I'm also going to be using some whole wheat tortillas because I prefer not to eat white flour as much as possible. And these are a little bigger too, which means I can make a bigger taco. Very exciting. Fold these bad boys up. Choppity chop. All right. These are gonna be great. All right. Now, those of you that are accustomed to a North American or like a Tex-Mex style taco would expect now to be the time that we would make ready some tomatoes and some lettuce, but we're going Mexican style, and for that, we are definitely going to be using cabbage. Now, if you want to cut up your own cabbage and carrots, you can, but myself, why would I do that when I can just buy a bag of coleslaw mix? Especially when I'm cooking for 7 people. I don't have time for that. And it's just basically cut up vegetables, so if you don't mind paying the extra $1 or so, get it in there. And look how pretty that is. We've got some nice purple cabbage, we have got some carrots, and we've got regular cabbage. What else could we need? Now, it is rough chopped, so we have to add a little bit of vegetable matter here. So we're gonna get out our knife, and we're gonna prepare this bell pepper. I already washed it, but I feel like I need to do it again. All right, so now let's have a little nice skills lesson here on how to properly cut a pepper for all of your needs. Unless, of course, you're stuffing it. So for everything else, here's what I recommend. Cut off the ends. Get as close to the end as you can so you make yourself a perfect little cone. We're gonna slice down there, make a little slit, and then we're just gonna pop it open. And look what that does. Then you can just run your knife very carefully across there, and that's gonna get all of the pith, which is the white part, and the seeds out. Now I like to keep that because that's usable. But the rest of it, let's just get it out of here. It's gonna go in the stock pot eventually. Now, suppose you wanted chunks of pepper. You would do a slice there, and you would do a slice there. Voila, chunks. You want smaller chunks? Bam, bam, you're good to go. You want strips? Look at that, look how easy that is. Now, we're gonna use little tiny chunks. Oh, I'm doing a very naughty thing and touching my knife. You know that you're not allowed. And Burrell would be putting a marker line on my finger if she was watching. All right, so let's just get that sliced up. We got ourselves some nice slices. Let's take a little pile of those. Let's get those out of our way for now. Line them up, little tiny chunks. In they go. That's just gonna add a little bit of a sweet punch and a little bit of flavor and a little bit of crunch. Let's make a nice little pile here. I'm definitely not too keen on the knife I chose for this, but it's a little too late to turn back now, so here we go. And as always on Rough Chop, we're not serving to the Master Chef judges here. We're serving to our friends and family, so it doesn't have to be perfect. We never have to be perfect. We just have to try our best every day. All right, we'll chop those up another time. Get those out of the way. So what we have here now is our beautiful cabbage with a nice little bit of peppers in there. Now, coleslaw traditionally has a lot of high fat and thick dressings attached to it, but Mexican style, we generally don't do that. So we're gonna put a 1/4 cup extra virgin olive oil. Of course, if you prefer, you can use a corn oil, you can use canola oil. I just like the flavor of olive oil the best. We're gonna get that in there. Then we're gonna get our lemon. Now, traditionally, they use limes in Mexico primarily, but the limes don't look great at this time of the year here in Alberta, Canada, so we're gonna use a nice juicy lemon instead. We're just gonna cut that bad boy in half. And then we're gonna do the trick where you squeeze it upside down and then squeeze it through your hands so you can catch all the seeds. And this is a big lemon with a lot of rind, so I'm really gonna have to put some muscle into it here. All right. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Get them seeds out of there. And get the juice in there. Nice little cloth to wipe off my hands here. Oh, I love the smell of lemon. It's literally one of my favorite smells. Now, to that, we are gonna add a good pinch of salt. Let's go with 2, actually. Cut that lemon a little bit. Of course, our friend pepper. And then a little bit of cumin seeds. Now you're gonna wanna do this. You can do this the night before you have your taco party, but I'd say at least an hour before, just so all the flavors can meld. And this is just gonna give us a nice, sharp, acidy burst. And of course the vegetables we're looking for with all that pork. And just like that, that's ready. Let's just put that over here. Our taco bar will be right ready. Now, of course, I have a nice big smattering of cheese, and I am going to prepare a jar of salsa because the kids aren't gonna wanna get down on my taco sauce, but that is what we're gonna make next. Look at that, I had a little bowl right here, didn't even use it. Okay, making a dressing out of the jar. So easy, so fast, so delicious. So you're gonna take your standard wooden spoon, and we're gonna pull out 1 heaping spoon of good old mayonnaise. Please, 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 do not use Miracle Whip. Miracle Whip is not mayonnaise. Miracle Whip already has extra lemon, extra sugar, all that business in it. If you really love Miracle Whip, I mean, I'm not the boss of you, I suppose. You could use it, but I don't like Miracle Whip one bit, and it will definitely change how this tastes. There's a raving argument on Facebook on one of my cousin-in-law's pages whether if you leave this on the sour cream that makes you a bad person or not. I mean, I'm not here to judge, but just take it off. We're gonna do the same amount of sour cream. Shout out to Dairyland. They make the best sour cream. End of the story. Now we've got ourselves buffalo sauce. You know the brand. I like a lot of this in there, so I'm gonna do 6 or 7. If you would like it extra spicy, do 10 or 12. If you're kind of like, I don't really want it that spicy, do 3 or 4. And then, last but not least, we need a little bit of vinegar. And we're gonna go with like 1/4 cup. Of course, season at every level, pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper. And then the pièce de résistance, let's tie those flavors together. Just a pinch of cumin seeds. Now, here's the fun part. Put your jar on, make sure your lid's on super tight, and pointing it away from you in case it's not, shake, shake, shake. Shake, 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 shake your taco sauce, doodle-doodle-doo. Shake your taco sauce, doodle-doodle-doo. That's ready. Now you can have a little taste off the lid. That's delicious. Super bright with that sour cream. Nice and sharp from that vinegar. I need a little more hot sauce in there. I don't want to get crazy because I have, kids coming, but there you go. I'll take a little break, and when I come back, we will be pulling the meat out of the oven and showing you how to get that ready to go. And then we're gonna have some tacos. Welcome back. Let's make sure you can see the top of my head this time. Is that a go, cameraman? All right. Welcome back. This meat has been cooking since 9 a.m. and we're ready to get it ready for our delicious tacos. So let's get started. Now, this pan is very hot, and I have a problem where I burn myself all the time, so here's a fun little tip for you. When you're done with the lid, put the oven mitt right on top, so you don't forget that that pan is hot. That tip's for you, Shane Larmont. All right, let's make sure we got our oven mitts on. Oh, this looks so good. Let's give it a little stir. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect. Now we're just gonna put a sieve. Oh, well, look at me, just be teaching you how to do this. A nice metal or glass bowl, no plastic. This will be way too hot. Metal sieve, if you don't have one, you can use a colander or the pot that you have that has holes in it. Again, try to avoid plastic. This has been in the oven for a while, but you can also let it sit for a couple minutes because it's going back in the oven. Can we have a close-up on this beautiful meat? Ooh, fantastic. All right, so let's put the pan to the side. Once again, put our oven mitt there. Well, I'm just gonna try to remember not to touch it. And we're gonna take the meat out. You gotta be careful though, because this meat is gonna be falling apart tender. Look at that. And we're gonna be shredding this, so you're gonna wanna cool this down. This is a great time for this. So we'll just put that to the side there. Get our little bay leaf out of there. And let's get the rest of these juices because we're going back in the pot with that. Awesome. So we'll just put our pot, we'll put our pot over here. Now, the only thing we want to save out of here is going to be our pineapple. So let's get those out of there. I'll get the rest of those later. You don't need to see me on pineapple duty. Put our little colander here over the sink. And, oh, that's heavy. Back in our pot it goes. I'm just gonna sneak that bowl back under here in case there happens to be any extra juices that want to drip out of there. Okay. Now, this doesn't look very pretty right now, but let me assure you, which one do I want to do? All right, so this is somewhat like a T-bone steak. We're gonna have our bone in the middle here, and then we're gonna have a rim of fat there. Now, don't try this at home. Ooh, is it time for another close-up? Now, if you don't really want to do all of this work, a pork loin works great with this recipe as well, which is something I probably should have told you earlier, but it's not like we're cooking along here, are we? Now, because I'm hardcore, I'm just gonna go right away, but you should probably wait till it cools down a little. So we're gonna get the meat off of there, and some people really like a lot of pork fat. I am not one of them. So we'll get that out of there. Now there's gonna be a little medallion there. We can get that. So basically you just want to take all of your steaks and get all of the usable meat off of them and put the rest to the side. Okay, so now we have removed all of the bones and the extra fat off of our pork, and absolutely positively, let's not be throwing that out. We're gonna, later on, I'm gonna put that in a Ziploc bag in the freezer, and at some point in the future, I'm gonna show you how to make the most delicious baked beans in the entire universe. So let's put that off to the side, and here's what we have. I've started chopping up. Now we want into like bite-sized chunks, but this is going back in the oven, so it will fall apart even more. So we don't have to be super specific about this. So we're just gonna chunk it up. It's a shoulder steak, so don't worry about what grain you're doing the meat at, just chop it up. We're gonna get it back in that juice. And then we're gonna pop that boy back in the oven for about another hour. And then I'll see you back here when it's time to pull the pork. All right, my guests are on the way, so it's time to get this pork ready to serve. I've pulled the hot pan out, and now comes the fun part. Yes, look at that. Got our pineapple in there. This is good to start with. As you can see, I've put an apron on because we're about to get crazy. That's my favorite part of doing tacos. It's called the double chop. This is pretty splashy though. We better go a little bit smaller here. That's all you gotta do. This is crazy. The double chop would have been fun, but I don't feel like getting covered in hot burning taco juice, so there we go. There, we got it. Now we can do it. Look at that. Oh, that's gonna be delicious. So, we've got everything we need here for a great night. We've got our pork. Let's just go ahead and hit that with a little bit of our beautiful sauce. Just keep it nice and warm. I've got some more I'll chop up there, but there we have it. Tacos al pastor. Our beautiful, beautiful coleslaw. We've got our nacho cheese. We've got our delicious jarred salsa, some hot sauce, and oh, warm tortillas ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and put one of these bad boys together. Whew, ha. Oh, and it's gonna be amazing. Whew. There we go. Oh, we almost forgot our dressing. Can't have that. Let's give that a little shake. My rock and roll arm movement. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of my sauce. Just a little bit of that pork. That was hot. Where was my oven mitt trick there? I get burned at least once a day though. I mean, you get used to it. Now let's get lots of that slaw on there. That's the best part. All right, a little bit of cheese. I find I just like a little bit of cheese with the pork taco, but some people like lots. Let's get in there. I highly recommend that you eat over a plate and do the lean. Tacos are amazing. I hope you've had a wonderful time watching, and we will see you next week when we do something new and fun. Make sure to stay safe and party outside. Have a great day. Thanks for watching Rough Chop.
Thank you, Sam.